All right, everybody, welcome on back here this Tuesday, September 29th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. We just finished up our Traders Talk workshop as we typically do every Tuesday. That'll be right up on the student dashboard right from our website pretty shortly. Great to see everybody, though. Leda, Jose, Bonnie, great to see you all. David, Donnie, Daniel, W. There we go, tongue twister. I'm good. I'm good to go. I hope you guys are as well. So without further ado, let's hop into it. I mean, we have a lot to talk about, but also we have to move pretty quick. We have phase 3 continuing today, guys. That's the live trading classes with Fausto. So you'll have a chance to see Fausto in this afternoon. Just react right to our picks, right from our list here. It's funny. I was working with a student in a coaching session. This is, I think, maybe a day ago, or maybe even back from Friday last week. They were telling me back from the last phase 3 class, Fausto wasn't really as much of a fan of a big watch list that I put up here. So I'll make it simple. I'll use the KISS method, as he likes to say, right? Keep it super simple, or perhaps maybe the other way around. Keep it simple, stupid. Either way you like to say it. I'll try and make a more refined list here this afternoon. But, U1 right now, how could I not start by putting this on our list? It's up 7+%, so not up a whole lot, but we've been following U1 over the last, many months. But in particular, the last day or so, this stock has gained some steam. So, with it moving back up again this afternoon, right where we want to see it near the highs, trending up beautifully. A lot of volume coming in since like 1:30. Of course, we're going to put this on our list right away. I would say the same with a few of the other like black business oriented, companies. So if we take a look at like BYFC, we take a look at Carve, a lot of those stocks were moving up to a similar degree. Here's BYFC, more of like a level 1 to 2 stock, as I would categorize it. Carve will be a little bit, lower float, lower volume. It's going to move. So, you know what? If all of these are moving at the same time, I'd rather focus on the ones that have the most liquidity. So U1, U1K, the Class K stock, I think that looks pretty good too, says Pat. And yeah, I would agree. So U1, U1K, and what was that last one? BYFC. BYFC is only up 0.67%, but it's like a sympathy play, right? So I'll put this on near the bottom of our list here, this stock here, this one at least. All right, so what we'll do, guys, with that in mind, we'll go right from top to bottom. We would have ran into those anyway. It's any of those at some point or another here. Let's just go right from the top here, up 500+%. You got the APM probably still dumping off to a degree. Yep. If you could short it, my goodness, this would be the trade to take. But yeah, I would only assume to see this drop off much further heading into the afternoon, given the range, given the squeeze up, like we've seen, like pretty much all of these energy stocks do over the last week or so, the last 5 or 6 trading days. I would say keep it on your side list. Keep it on your radar. Perhaps if, tomorrow morning, Thursday, we end up seeing them up like 4 or 5% early. Well, perhaps if they end up breaking through big resistance by 8 o'clock, 8:30 Eastern time, we'll end up seeing it make that big pre-market squeeze that we hope to trade, right? So, for those reasons, given the range alone, like the APM, we'll put on our side list for right now. HUSA, this thing's been through like the full spin cycle today, up and down. I mean, there's a few of them you could say that too, but I mean, this HUSA, obviously from pre-market, we saw this at like 7 o'clock Eastern time, break out from like 150 all the way up to 450, dumped off, moved back up, dumped back down, moved back up. It's like the same thing over and over. Then finally, after it was like halted for about 15-20 minutes here, this big gap on my chart, it finally reopened up. We talked about this inside our Traders Talk workshop. So, for anybody tuning in on social media right now, that's one of our workshops that we conduct live inside our trading room. Feel more than free to join us just every Tuesday inside our trading room to hear that. But we covered the in-depth move of this run up from the 315 breakout. Well, look what became support. Needless to be said, right? For the afternoon, I'm going to put this on the side list for right now. I mean, a lot of these, again, are real pump and dumps. So, I would say this anyway with any of these stocks that are up, 100, 200%, or even less than that. To see a stock make one squeeze up to begin with the day is one thing. To see it make a second big squeeze up similar is pretty rare. To see it make a second small move up like this, that's not surprising. And even here, it's kind of holding where it is, but I'm not a fan of this right now heading into the afternoon. We'll check back in with this at the very end, at least. I don't mind coming back to this, but most likely, no. Same with this, the USEG. So I was saying to a few of us in Traders Talk earlier this morning, I will say this though, for all of us tuning in on social media, look at the float. 600,000 share float on USEG. That's like the smallest I've personally seen on the TradeStation scanner. The lower the float, the more difficult it is to trade based on the liquidity. So you could see the squeeze up before the market opened up, but once the market did open, well, it dropped off, got halted, reopened up much lower. And if you look on the 1 minute chart here really quickly, you could see all these mini gaps on my 1 minute chart. That's the number of times it got halted and reopened up. I'm not going to do a head count for us here, but I'd probably say around 15 to 20 times, right? So, total pump and dumps, unfortunately. So I hope nobody got caught up on those trades, but, perhaps maybe later in the week or next week, we'll see them make, a big squeeze up again. All right. I mean, hey, U1 was the same thing too. UONE, what we started off with really quick. We traded that stock going back into, and look at where it is right now. We traded the stock going back into June, pumped up, dumped back down, and of course, here today, we're seeing the squeeze back up again. All right, that stock's probably going to get halted pretty soon. That would be my guess. All right, ADIL looking pretty interesting, at least here. More volume coming in. I would say the same though. Ended up popping up out of nowhere shortly after 9:30. I think Fausto had called this out right off the halt, and from there we ended up doing pretty well on it. So, for what it's worth, squeezed up from like 180 up towards 240ish, 249 the high. Held strong, basing off 180 and pushing back up for right now. But I'd say the same with this as I'd said before with the HUSA trade. We'll check back in with this probably at the end. INOD, more of an afternoon, squeeze up, I guess, little pop, but yeah, not really doing it for me there. All right, we'll just skim down here at this point, guys. Any familiar names like SEAL, I'll at least take a look at. SEEL holding near the highs of the day right now. It's pretty slow. A lot of volume to cut through on the order book, so to say. With that, it's more of like a level 1 stock. But yeah, for right now, I don't mind just putting this near the bottom of our list here alongside that BYFC. CEI, kind of a familiar name. We saw this get squeezed up, then dumped back down, going back into late June, early July. I saw this NNDM super early in pre-market. By super early, I mean like really right here. 4:30. I saw it on the gainers list. It looked interesting, but obviously a very spotty chart, dumped off. Right now, though, nice afternoon move. It actually already popped and dropped from 2. You would assume the first test of 2 a pop and drop anyway, so there we go. All right, cool. So NNDM, I don't mind putting this on the list as well. And hey, perhaps if this could hold underneath 2 again, and then maybe around like 3:15, 3:30 Eastern time, see the big burst out, breakout over 2 again, that'd be lovely. All right. U1 already got. CRDF, interesting name. Familiar name at least. Ooh, missed out on this squeeze up earlier today, I guess. We had so much on our plate from this market open, but CRDF we remember because from, I think it was early last week, we ended up seeing a squeeze from 6 up towards 12 and died off, volume died off, that was. But hey, nice positive day today. It'll be interesting to see if we can get shares to short this eventually. One that we can short, PEIX. We'll take a quick look. Pushed up to 8, topped off at the high of the day there. Looks pretty flat for right now. Volume waned off there too. So is the move get down going to be as worthy to take? Well, it hasn't totally tanked from the high so far. So you know what? I'll put this on the side. I don't mind putting this on our list at the very end, though. This one here, the PEIX. If we have like nothing else to work with. All right, here we go. Sorrento, SRNE. So, we talked about Sorrento earlier this morning, guys, and more so in our Traders Talk workshop. Again, feel more than free to join us live inside our trading room for that. We ended up seeing this make the pop, the squeeze from 11. Ultimately, really, it was the opening print 1071, which led to the breakout from the morning consolidation. But ended up running up beautifully up towards 1130-ish, 1135. And right now, it's kind of slowed down a bit. I'm currently in this trade right now. I was waiting for 11:30. Here's my thought process on this because it will look pretty, it'll look like, ooh, good entry, but it's kind of based on, not to say luck, but, you know, from the level breakout we had here from $11.30, I was anticipating that resistance to act as major support. I'm currently long on this trade, though, right off the very low of this bar at 11.27. So, fortunate entry based on the very, bottom of that candle. Normally, I get in maybe a few cents above it. So I was able to snip out the very low right there. Looking good. I mean, I would love to see this squeeze back up heading into this afternoon. So far, it's beginning to do so. It's back over the VWAP. Hopefully, it could hold over that 11.50. I don't mind putting this on the side as well. And we'll see what we have on the losers list here first. Like I said, I want to make it a kind of a simple list for Fausto heading into this afternoon. We're going to really just cherry pick the best ones. Then we'll come back to the SRNEs, the PEIXs out there. Again, just because I'm in a trade doesn't mean I'm automatically going to put it on the list. But hey, this one's looking all right so far. So I hope for those of us inside the trading room, I called it out, looking for the bounce from around that 11:30 level. I hope a couple of us were able to get in. All right, JE, Just Energy. So the news on this, I think there was a split, 1 for 33 reverse split. And, with that, the stock dropped off like 94% last week anyway, or the week prior. So we were waiting for the big squeeze up, the dead cat bounce, so to say. We started to see it. I think this was at the end of last week. It was back on Thursday or Friday. It started to make that little bit of a jump. Now, this is prior to the split. So this morning, we ended up seeing them, drop off huge, but they only continued to tank. The stock, Just Energy, JE. You got to figure at some point in time, I don't know when it will be, hopefully tomorrow, hopefully, end of the week, next week, just whenever, it's going to make a squeeze up because, people will look to cover short. I'm not telling you to swing trade it right here, guys. In fact, this can keep breaking much lower. I mean, the reason why they did a reverse split likely is to keep it above NASDAQ or NYSE listing requirements. So, eventually I would imagine this stock to make a bounce. Keep this in mind at the very minimum, all right? Just keep this written down. Keep this on your side list. We've been following this from the last week. With this drop off, very well, we could see this kind of pull back further. But at some point on a pre-market morning, we'll see this make a squeeze up, and from there, perhaps we'll see this make the type of move that like SPI made, right? We can only hope. What is it, Sydney? As far as the company, I have no idea. I have no idea what the company does. But, that's our whole philosophy here at Cyber Trading University. I mean, we're not as arrogant in that regard, but, we don't necessarily need to know what the company does, what's going on as to why we need to trade it. Why we're trading the stock is based on the range on the daily chart and the eventual profit taken from those that are short on it. It's breaking all-time lows, so there is no historical support on this stock aside from what you see here on the 1 minute. But yeah, I would say just to keep it written down. Eventually, we're going to see this make like a big short squeeze. It'll be a pretty interesting trade. I said that last week too, and then even more so just with the reverse split in mind. All right, let's see. Well, I'm talking about SPI. It's down 28% today. So, speaking of, ended up making that big giant squeeze up for us going back into last week from basically $3.50, $4 from where we had called it out up towards 46.67, the high, but dumped back down at least, right? So, again, keep it in mind. We saw some of those other energy stocks like SunW, Pola make those secondary squeezes up. But, it doesn't mean they're swing trades, right? We need to be in and out quick. OXBR. This one took me for a surprise yesterday morning. Ended up making a much bigger jump up than I thought it would make. But obviously dumped right back down. So that's the danger of the HUSA. That's the danger of the APM and all these that are on the percent gainers list so far here. All right. United Foods shortable, down big. Ooh, trending down nicely, in fact. Really nice. All right, perfect. Good find. So UNFI definitely on our list based on the chart pattern right near the lows of the day. Tight spread, but the liquidity is a little thin here, so it could open up just depending on the break. Look for potential refreshing. I mean, we ended up just seeing what appears to be a big iceberg get filled right off the 1650 a moment ago. It just filled probably right here, 2:32 Eastern time. Prints on the tape fold. So it's pulling back down underneath 1650. This could be the point where we end up seeing this break much lower. This BTU also shortable. It's down big. A little bit slower, though. I'm not as keen to put this on for right now. I mean, interesting chart pattern for at least, but Peter from YouTube saying, just in relation to that comment on JE, we're not as arrogant with the news, right? But Peter was saying, hey, I mean, that is the reason to trade based on the range, the volatility, ultimately the opportunity, right? Sometimes news can matter, though, of course, right? So, we look at the news when we can, when we have the opportunity to. There was no real headline on JE, really, as to why it was down that much. We couldn't find one, at least from Benzinga Pro. So just because there wasn't a headline that day didn't mean that we didn't want to focus on it, right? So if we start seeing big volume getting filled, a lot of buying coming in, or maybe short covering, then that could lead to a big squeeze back up. Groupon was actually one of those short squeezes back. This was more, I think, a few months back. That may have even been off earnings. Yeah, I think this was it here. We ended up seeing a huge squeeze on Groupon GRPN here. This was prior to a reverse split and then right back down. Groupon today, shortable, not really going much of anywhere, though. All right, let's see what else do we have here, folks. Party City at the lows of the day. This stock is more of a familiar name. It is shortable. We have done well on the short side with the stock as well. It's at the lows, but for right now, kind of same thing. We'll keep it simple for right now. I'd rather focus on the SRNE. I'd rather focus on the PEIX that we already kind of have on the side. Ooh, APA down, what is that, 6+%? Nah. SM, slow. All right, what do we have here, guys? Anything else? Leda calling out LAC from our trading room, LAC pop. Yeah, it is pretty interesting, Leda. It's up only, what, like 2+%, but beautiful pattern right near the highs. We followed this stock from more so Monday, right? Monday morning yesterday, we ended up seeing the big pre-market push. It was them and also this other stock, PLL, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, this one's like still dumping off. Interesting though. So LAC, let me just check the liquidity on that later, but I like the pattern right near the highs of the day. Big volume did just come in off the most recent pop, the most recent breakout. Tight spread. I don't mind adding this to our list for right now. LAC. And Donnie pointing out NEO. Yeah, that's right. NIO. All right. So how could I not put NEO on our list too? So NEO, familiar name, but we ended up seeing this make a nice pop shortly after the open. But whereas the markets dived off, this held strong. I mean, just perfect trend on the way up to what appears to be towards the next major resistance at 21. Getting right back up to the all-time highs, in fact. It's pretty crazy. Check in on like Workhorse, WKHS, maybe like is Tesla squeezing up nicely right now? I don't know. No. Pretty interesting as to why NEO's pushing up, but we'll take it, Donnie, right? So beautiful trend, really good call. All right, here we go. Here's actually one I skipped over. I'm sorry, from YouTube, from John. He was saying that he made money on the HUSA trade, but he was confused on ABEO, which had 20,000 share orders, I think, to move on both sides of level 3. I think that's what he's referring to, but it was stuck. So, John, really quick, and this just goes for everybody, and we talk much more about this, John, live inside our trading room, so feel more than free to join us just here for this. Level 3 doesn't push a stock up or down. So if you see a big iceberg order on the bid or the ask, it creates a potential support or resistance, but it doesn't indicate that the stock is necessarily going to move to that price. And especially for like more of a slower, stagnant moving stock right now, like ABEO. Yeah, so like, it's going to be seeing the orders that get filled that lead to see the stock move up or down. So, that's shown on time and sales. Seeing the big orders that get filled from level 3, but also market orders too that don't show on level 3. So let's just say for a stock like PEIX, which at this point I think we'll be putting on our list, looking pretty strong still. For right now, 8 is the next resistance, right? But it doesn't mean this is going to break up to 8 and squeeze over that price level again. If it tests 8, we need to look for time and sales to see a lot of volume getting filled at or over that price. But we talk more about that live inside our room and inside our classes. In fact, for all of us here inside our trading room, we got to get ready for class. Phase 3 lined up in just about 10 or so minutes. So if there's anything else, guys, just let me know. I did say I had one headline for us really quick, guys. It was the INO, Inovio Pharmaceutical. I had one copy and paste I wanted to do from Benzinga Pro. Just a really quick follow-up here on INO. So one of our students, if he's tuning in from our trading room, I hope he is because it would be interesting. INO, there was a tweet that came out from Citron Research, who I'm probably short on the trade, but they were saying that it's become the Pinocchio of vaccines. That's the tweet that came out. So Andy left from Citron Research. He's famously known for, going short on the vast majority of his positions. So I'm sure that he is short on INO if he's saying it's the Pinocchio of all of the, major vaccine, candidates. But we follow the stock on a day-to-day basis. It dropped off 36% yesterday morning. So, that was a nice, funny follow-up. I wanted to just copy and paste there. Broke down below 12. I took a 5 or 6 cent long loss, I should say, right here. Looked interesting off 12, but once it broke down below it, I got out, and it's good reason. So I'd say, yeah, if you could short this stock, this would be the only other one I'd think about, but that's it. All right, guys, I'll tell you, I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty much good to go. You know what? Oh, actually, really quick. I'm sorry. Really quick. We added PEIX. Let's just check out Sorrento SRNE. Up, broke down below the VWAP and 1150. Maybe I just get out right now in my position. I had a really good entry point. You know what? It's starting to slip. All right, I just closed right here at 1142. I was in from 1127, so I let some profit get wasted away, but I'll probably re-enter this trade if it ends up making that push back up. But for right now, we're going to keep this off the list. And then finally, I think the last one I had was the HUSA. It's like holding right there, right? So you know what? We'll slip this on our watch list at the end here, the HUSA. Perhaps if it could break above 450, but only if it can. I mean, otherwise, I'm not as interested in trading this stock. Seeing this make the pop breakout over 450 resistance heading into the afternoon here. All right, guys. So for right now, how big of a list did I make this? 3, 6, 9, 10. Not too big. I've done worse. All right, guys. So I'll post and tweet these out to you right now for anybody tuning in on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. As always, if you guys would like to learn more, feel more than free to join us, as I've been saying, live inside our trading room. Aside from that, though, otherwise, just make sure that you guys like, subscribe, notify yourself right on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. And for all of us inside the trading room, as soon as I post the picks, I'll repost the link coming up for Fausto's Phase 3 live trading class. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys coming up pretty shortly. Take care.